Good morning, lovelies. A little while ago, I did a video on the trope called the five-man band, which I will link in the cards and at the end of this video if you haven't seen it yet. Basically, what the five-man band is, it's a group of 5 characters who work together as a team in a fictional story to get shit done. And one of those characters is called the leader, who we are going to be looking at today. Note that the leader in this context does not have to be the leader of a 5-man band specifically, but the leader of any group of major characters working together as a team in any given story. So this can be a power trio, a group of 7, the elite 4, whatever. This video will be about defining and writing a leader archetype, the pros, the cons, what's been done well, and what hasn't. But before we get started, a quick announcement. I am in Minnesota and it's been getting hot as balls out recently, and I realized that, you know what, I really shouldn't be selling people coffee mugs because who the hell is drinking hot beverages when it's face-meltingly hot outside? So instead, we got water bottles. I mean, I shouldn't say instead. In addition to the mugs, we have water bottles. And this is mine. I've been testing it out for the last couple of weeks to make sure that it works as advertised. It does. It does a great job of keeping your beverages nice and cold. So help yourself to one. It's linked in the merch store. Stay hydrated. Okay, so what makes a leader? Obviously, they lead people, but story-wise, what makes a leader? In a story, this is the character most likely to be the main character, or at least have the most screen time, backstory, narrative arc, etc. And this is probably because leaders just tend to be more interesting. They're the focal point of the group. They make the big decisions, and narratively speaking, that is incredibly valuable and tends to have a lot of overlap with what a main character does. Now, because of all this, the leader's personal narrative arc and personality both tend to determine the tone of the team, as well as most of the story. If the leader is dark, brooding, and serious, you can expect those types of themes in other characters as well. If the leader is more lighthearted with the goal of spreading Christmas cheer to disillusioned children, chances are that is what the rest of your story is going to be about. This is largely because the leader leads, by which I mean they attract followers who want to follow them. A leader is only a leader because other people choose to let them lead. As such, an effective leader needs like-minded followers. Robin has the goal of fighting supervillains and crime, so do the other Teen Titans. Aang needs to return balance to a world at war, and the other members of Team Avatar have that same goal. Be it save the galaxy, escape from the law, or just survive, everyone in the group has the same basic shared goal, and the leader is the one who gets them there. The leader is often responsible for getting the group together in the first place. They're likely to be one of the earliest or founding members of the team. Also, skill-wise, the leader tends to be a jack of all trades. He won't be a powerhouse, but he can hold his own in a fight. He won't be the best grifter, but he can still act and lie. He's not a world-renowned hacker, but he knows his way around a computer. The one thing he does do better than literally anybody else on the team is lead and inspire others. Now, fictional leaders come in 4 general different flavors with a lot of overlap. Depending on how he's written, Captain America is often 3 or even all 4. Number 1 is the Mastermind. If we're running a D&D campaign, this is the type of leader with all of his stats on intelligence. The Mastermind comes up with these really intricate, complex plans to trick or manipulate their enemies, and as such, their followers tend to be extremely skilled specialists in whatever fields they need. The Mastermind tends to have a very good understanding of how people think and are able to use that knowledge to get the bad guys to think the way they want them to think. Nathan Ford from Leverage is really good at this, as is Hannibal Smith. Number 2 is the level-headed leader. This is the mature one, the one who holds the team brain cell. This one is usually the most experienced, probably the oldest member of the group, and as such has been given leadership status just for that. Oh, you're the one who actually knows what he's doing? Great. you're in charge. So narratively speaking, they tend to be kind of boring to write, but they're still a very valuable literary tool as the one person in the group who makes good life choices. Again, Hannibal Smith, Callum from Dragon Prince is mostly in this area, and sometimes Aang when he's not running away from his problems. Number 3, the Headstrong leader. This is the person who gets the team in and out of trouble. This one is very stubborn, often holding the team together through sheer force of will, if not personality. They have the plan and they're gonna go through with it. These are the types of leaders who often have to sweet talk their team into helping them out since their plans aren't nearly as well laid or put together as the masterminds. They often rely on some sort of smart guy on the team to help them flesh out the details. The mastermind and level-headed leaders tend to be older and wiser, while Headstrong and our fourth one, charismatic leaders, are younger and well, more headstrong. This would be Peter Quill from the Guardians of the Galaxy, Harley Quinn from Birds of Prey, Adora from She-Ra and the Princess of Power, and again, you could make an argument for Aang. And finally, the fourth one is our charismatic leader. They might not be the smartest or even the most stubborn, but something about them just draws people in. Sometimes it's just an undefeated optimism in the face of overwhelming odds, or an unwavering belief in justice and doing the right thing. Or maybe they just know the right words to say to get everyone involved. These types of leaders are often paragons, a la Captain America and Superman, in which case it's not just their personality, but the ideal that they are following and selling to others that brings the team together. I mentioned Superman, obviously. Robin from Teen Titans is mostly here, as is Luke Skywalker from Star Wars. Now, sometimes a group is big enough that it doesn't have just one leader. The Heroes of Olympus series by Rick Riordan explicitly gives us 3 leaders: Percy, Jason, and Annabeth. In book 1, Jason leads his own power trio. In book 2, Percy leads his own power trio. And then in book 3, both of those trios plus Annabeth come together to do this whole world-saving quest. They're thrown on the same ship in order to save the world. And rather than butt heads, Jason and Percy both decide that they're going to give leadership status to Annabeth. After that, title of team leader passes around the 3 of them depending on who is the least injured, who isn't occupied with personal stuff, and who isn't currently in Tartarus. But that's pretty rare. Usually a story's team is too small to accommodate more than one leader, and if there is, there's usually a pretty clear chain of command. If there's not, you're at risk of causing a civil war within the group, which are really fun to write, I must admit. Now, there is the danger of the leader, especially the leader as the main character, and that is that they can steal the spotlight away from the other team members. Because they're often the closest thing to a main character in the story, the writers will often just make them the main character or the main protagonist with a supporting cast rather than 3, 4, or 7 deuteragonists that the story actually calls for. This was my beef with Guardians of the Galaxy. The first movie explicitly talks about Drax's need for revenge, first against Ronan and then Thanos when he realizes who was employing Ronan. But when it comes time for the Guardians to actually face off against Thanos in Infinity War, Drax's revenge arc for the death of his family is completely forgotten in favor of Peter's revenge arc for Gamora. As a matter of fact, both of these movies, specifically marketed as Guardians of the Galaxy, have centered almost exclusively on Peter Quill and his family issues, with the other 4 to 7 characters sharing the background. Harley Quinn did this sort of thing in the Birds of Prey movie, but that movie was explicitly titled Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, and the 5-man band itself didn't last for more than a single act. Unlike Guardians, which is supposed to be about the whole team rather than just one guy and his space roommates. Really hope the 3rd one kind of fixes that, but I'm not getting my hopes up. It's Marvel. But that's really the only danger of the leader archetype specifically, at least from what I've seen. They're a pretty natural main character because they've got a built-in team of supporting cast. You can also flip it. They make a really great support character if your story's protagonist is somebody else. While Ed from Full Metal Alchemist is the main character, he doesn't really have a team to lead so much as a rotating cast of characters who each have their own agendas. Roy Mustang, on the other hand, is an actual actual leader, mastermind and charismatic, with his own team and resources. He has his own narrative arc, but of a more practical importance, he also has a very skilled team of followers and is a powerful magic user, effectively giving Ed a small army to fight the much larger evil army that they end up going against. This is the same with General Armstrong, a classic level head leader with some headstrongness. And villain leaders, when they're allowed to be competent, are a bitch and a half to fight, which makes them excellent antagonists. Sure, everyone's a little afraid of their own personal leader, especially if that leader controls their paycheck or even their lives. But a villainous leader with henchmen who actually believe in them and their mission, with henchmen who don't just follow them out of fear of what the leader will do to them if they fail, but because they genuinely care about them and their goals, that's fucking terrifying. And I really wish we get to see more of them actually well written. Anyway, that's all I got. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out my video on the 5-man band right here. And if you can, support the channel on Patreon. That link is in the description. Bye, lovelies!